Since the vaccine has made its way to various cities and states, we've seen a bunch of PR videos showing a box being delivered by UPS or FedEx and people clapping and delivery people carrying the boxes down the hall to the doctors and opening it up and telling everybody we got the vaccine, baby. Then they started sitting people down to give them the vaccine. And something weird happens in one of these videos. In a story from KTSM, this is an NBC affiliate, they say, questions raised over vaccine injection at UMC event. UMC says nurse received second shot to eliminate doubt over vaccination. Let me give you the gist of this, y'all. The video shows a doctor or a nurse administering what they say is a vaccine, but the syringe is already depressed. There's nothing in it. They pop the cap off of a syringe that is clearly not got the vaccine in it, stick the needle in the dude's arm, and then the dude clearly realizes there's nothing in it and pulls it out. Oops. I think there's a really simple solution to this video, guys. He didn't put the vaccine in it. It's that simple. So I don't know if these vaccines are, I don't think they're coming preloaded in shots. Sometimes they do when I got a vaccine. I think so. I could be wrong. I mentioned this before. I got several shots when I was traveling around working for Vice. And I'm pretty sure the guy opened a package. There was a vaccine in a syringe. But I also think he might have actually had little vials. So I'm not entirely sure. Maybe the simple solution is this. All right. The dude had the needle and was supposed to take the cap off, put it in and pull some of the, vaccine into it, measure it or whatever. And he didn't do it. Either way. You see stories like this, it's not confidence building. And when I tweeted the video out, I want to play the video for you so you can see, because it is kind of weird. I'll just play it right now. I have this news report where they're explaining people actually caught this. This is a good thing, by the way. The story's great. When I first saw this video and posted it, I had some Democrat guy be like, "You're so anti-vaccine, Tim. Why are you so anti-vaccine?" Listen, I want you to watch this video right now. I'll describe it to you. Let me pause it. Okay, so you see the syringe is going into this nurse's arm, but when it's going in right now, you can see there's nothing there. The plunger's already depressed. Okay, like I said, simple solution to this, right? Here's the bigger picture I want to get through. I have a bunch of stories. I think the mainstream media, these news outlets are trying to freak us out about the vaccine. I mean it. Look, you have these PR events or whatever. We don't need them. It's the weirdest thing to me. We have flu shots every year. You tell people there's the flu shot, have at it. We don't care. But the media keeps putting out all these stories. First, we have this one. Well, they did a PR event, I guess, to tell everybody, look, we got the vaccine. And then they used an empty syringe. People are going to be like, what is this? So I had this Democrat guy say I was anti-vax. I'm like, what about anything I'm criticizing is anti-vax at all? And he's like, you're casting vaccines in a negative light. The dude literally did not receive a vaccine. I'm casting the PR event in a negative light because this is making people doubt whether or not they should get the vaccine. And I'm going to show you something. I am going to argue against this. Let me first say, on the IRL podcast, I said, listen, folks, friends, people, I don't see a likelihood of really bad things happening with this vaccine. Life is just infinitely more boring than that. There's a lot of people who are concerned about, some like side effects, sicknesses, anaphylaxis, Bell's palsy, and things like this. These are exceedingly rare. But what I first said was when they got the vaccine out, I'm not worried about it. Listen, first of all, I'm 34. I'm a dude. I'm not getting the vaccine. You know why? They're not going to let me get it. That's the first and most important thing. If you're not eligible, you can't get it. So I came out and said, it's probably going to be fine. People are overreacting. And people are going to they get the flu shot all the time. We don't see stories like this. It doesn't happen. But there can be side effects. That's a fact. And you really should understand, there are side effects. Now, that's what I said at first. I did issue a correction after the fact because in the UK, they said that they're only allowing the vaccine to be administered if resuscitation measures are readily available. Because 2 nurses had an anaphylactic reaction. Now, if you're allergic to bees or you have severe food allergies, you understand what that means. And for those that aren't familiar, it means your face swells up, your eyes swell shut, and your throat can close. So people carry around EpiPen auto-injectors. It's epinephrine. It's an adrenaline analog. So when these people in the UK were getting the vaccine, some of them went into I guess it's called anaphylactic shock, or had an anaphylactic reaction. They jammed in the EpiPen or whatever, and then these people recovered. Apparently, some of the individuals who did have an anaphylactic reaction are saying they're going to get the shot again for the second dose. You see, this is the kind of stupidity we get from the mainstream media that is making people freak out. So don't come to me and blame me when it's mainstream news stories pointing these things out. As I've shown you in this video, they did this. Look at this. The syringe didn't have anything in it. What are they doing? Let me show you some of these other stories, because this one was big. We have this one. USA Today, fact check. A false post on social media claims COVID-19 vaccine causes infertility in women. Okay. I guess there's no real getting around any of this. You're going to have competing worldviews, and so long as people are allowed to share information, they're going to believe whatever they want. Let me just make one thing clear. I really, really, really doubt that the COVID-19 vaccine is some grand conspiracy to make people infertile. That's the show Utopia. I jokingly have brought it up in the past. Here's how things are going to play out. First, there have been people who developed Bell's palsy after getting the vaccine. Now, in the UK, they said they didn't find, I think, actually, I'm sorry, no, it was the trials. I think it was in the US. They didn't consider it to be significant because the rate at which people got Bell's palsy was not different from the normal rate you'd see, in public or whatever. The problem with that is that things cause Bell's palsy. That's what they're not, Bell's palsy. So for those unfamiliar, half your face gets paralyzed, a nerve gets pinched, and it can last up to a few months. Typically, people start to feel better in a few days, but it can last a little while, and so people's faces droop and stuff like that. They're saying, but it's not any different than the natural, statistics on people getting Bell's palsy. The issue is there's still the correlation. I'm not all that worried about it for one simple reason. First and foremost, yes, I think we're going to start seeing mandatory vaccinations in certain institutions. Like in the medical industry, I think they're telling people they have to get the vaccine. Okay, this is likely only going to cover a small percentage of various industries. So I am rather pro-vaccine for sure. I think people need to have the choice. I don't like the idea of businesses being like, if you haven't been vaccinated, you can't come here. If you haven't been vaccinated, you can't go on these planes. And if you get, look, this dude who got the shot on TV and there was nothing in it, they say that they gave him another shot. Imagine if we didn't call that out. And this Democrat guy was like, you're making people fear, you're so anti-vax. If we said nothing and said, I don't want to bring it up, this dude would go around thinking he's vaccinated. Okay, he's not. Ultimately, I think it should be a choice. The government should not force medication on people. And there's probably going to be a nightmarish and dystopian corporate pressure that I'm really worried about. Small businesses are being shuttered and corporate chains are popping up. That's a fact. And we're seeing the likes of Amazon and Walmart doing really, really well as the COVID lockdown destroys small businesses. Okay. The problem arises when Walmart says you have to have the vaccine to shop there. Well, if the government destroyed the small businesses that serve our communities and replaced it with these major corporations, and now they won't let us in unless we have some kind of medication, you see that there's a sidestep to making something mandatory. That's a problem. I think the vaccine's going to be, for the most part, fine for people. Personally, I have allergies. Actually, I have quite a few. They're not all severe. I have one, but for the most part, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think it's kind of normal. I don't really encounter this on a day-to-day basis, but there are certain things I can't eat. It's normal for a lot of people. So I will not be able to get the vaccine. That's it. End of story for me, I guess. Most people, if you are between the ages of, I think it's 13, or not even, I think if you're under the age of 70, you're never going to see this unless you work in the medical field. We may start seeing the corporate thing pop up. That I don't like. But so let me point out something else. I want to read this infertility thing to you, but I want to show you this other story here from Politico. Alaska reports adverse reaction from Pfizer vaccine in health worker. The patient experienced an anaphylactic reaction and was taken to the emergency room. Anaphylactic reactions are normal for vaccines. And this is the important thing about informing people on the actual risks. This is why I can't stand that there's this stupidity in the whole vaccine debate. If I were to tell you that there are risks and side effects to getting a vaccine, I get accused of being anti-vax. This guy's yelling at me on Twitter, this Democrat guy, because the UK's National Health Service, the NHS, issued a warning that if you have allergies, don't get the vaccine. And I do. So I was like, wow, that's probably really important if we want to save lives. And they get mad. You're either everybody should just go and just demand they get shot up with the vaccine. And then you also have, anti-vax individuals. Why can't we have a regular conversation about this? There are side effects. It shouldn't be mandatory. How simple is that? Some people get rushed to the emergency room. So please don't get mad at me when Politico writes a story about one person going into having an anaphylactic reaction. Why is it that for years we can have people say things like, I can't remember who it was. There was some celebrity lady. And she said, not in any way anti-vax, just think people should have a choice as to whether or not that, they get vaccinated. And they called her an anti-vaxxer. And now Politico's like, one person had an allergic reaction. I know people have allergic reactions to really weird things. If you want to get the vaccine, I believe it should be a choice. And to an extent, if private businesses want to mandate it, well, that's a private business to an extent. If they shut down everything and the only thing available to us is like a big box store, then I don't think they should be allowed to restrict access. And an interesting conversation about this with partly with Hunter Avalone, who's the YouTuber on the IRL podcast. And I'm not sure if this made it to the show or whatever, but we were talking about whether or not we should businesses should be mandated to serve customers. And my point was, if the government shuts down every supermarket, and not every, but most of them, or specialty stores, and the only place you can go for things you need is Walmart, then I don't think they have a right to restrict access to anybody. Within reason, of course. Like, obviously, if someone is, taking a dump on the floor or something, sure, by all means, kick them out. But for a vaccine, no, I don't think so. Of course, they'll argue a medical, oh, you're going to get people sick and all that stuff. I don't like it. And that I think is the actual problem we're facing, the perfect storm of these circumstances, all right? But let me tell you something else, all right? And then we'll go back to the fertility thing, because that one really needs to be addressed. Vin Gupta, he appeared on, I think it was MSNBC. He tweeted this: I get my vaccine tomorrow, and I'm grateful to the scientists who labored to make this day happen. After the second dose, 21 days later, I will continue masking, distancing, and avoiding travel until Dr. Fauci says otherwise. Stay vigilant, ignore the noise, normalcy is ahead. This dude goes on TV and says probably one of the stupidest things I think anyone could have even said. You know what? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's just being honest. He said something to the effect of, even if you get the vaccine, you can still get COVID. You can still get infected and you can still spread it. So you got to wear your mask. You can't travel. It's a misconception. Wait. What? Is this serious? What are you, okay. Then what are we doing? Who is this guy and why are they putting him on TV? Because I'll tell you, if he's right and this vaccine, according to this guy, we don't even know if it works. I got to say, I would not be surprised. You know why? Donald Trump, warp speed. So many people thought it was impossible. Guess what? Maybe it was. Maybe this is the trial. Like, we're desperate. We got a lockdown. People are scared. Not conservatives, but the left. And so they brushed this out. And it's as simple as that. Now you've got all these different mainstream media outlets that are loving the fear-mongering. And this is the worst thing about journalism in today's day and age. Either tell me that everything's okay because it is, or show me every little story you're going to milk for maximum attention. Here's the story from USA Today. They say, the claim, the COVID-19 vaccine can cause infertility in women. An image going viral on Facebook and elsewhere on social media is lodging a concerning complaint. The COVID-19 vaccine could lead to infertility in women. This comes as the first dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine are delivered and administered across the U.S. The image, a screenshot of what appears to be a news article, declares the vaccine is female sterilization. Please don't get your news from memes. All right. I don't trust the mainstream media all that much, and I'm constantly digging in. But memes are nowhere near as good. OK, like you got to do a lot of research on this stuff. They say the vaccine contains a spike protein called syncytin-1, vital for the formation of the human placenta in women. The article's nameless author writes, If the vaccine works so that we form an immune response against the spike protein, we are also training the female body to attack syncytin 1, which could lead to infertility for an unsuspected duration. Okay, USA Today. This is the issue I take. Why did you write this fact check? Because it's shock content, because people are going to share it, and this will make sure more people talk about the vaccine causing infertility. A meme going around on Facebook does not need to have a story written about it. People need to talk to their doctors. That's what we should be saying. You shouldn't be bringing up every little meme picture someone makes. Next thing you know, you're going to have USA Today doing a fact check. Does deleting Windows System 32 help solve your, speed up your computer? No, it doesn't. It's a prank. We need people to have critical thinking skills. This ain't it. They say, what is syncytin 1? In February 2000, researchers at the now defunct Genetics Institute in Cambridge discovered a gene residing within the human genome, blah, blah, blah. The protein encoded by the viral gene was produced only by cells in the placenta, an organ made only during pregnancy that exchanges oxygen and nutrients from mothers to fetus that come into direct contact with the uterus. A sturdy bond between maternal, uterine, and fetal placenta cells was entirely dependent on this protein, which the researchers called syncytin, from the word syncytium, a cell-like structure formed from the joining of many cells. Later, research discovered that humans were not the only ones carrying this anchoring protein, gorillas, chimpanzees, etc. They say it's not the same protein. Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna's COVID-19 vaccines both use messenger RNA, a single strand of genetic code that provides manufacturing instructions. So basically, the gist of my understanding of how this vaccine is supposed to work based on reading this is that it programs muscle cells to produce spike protein and then tells the immune system to destroy that. I don't care. I know. Look, a lot of people are posting things where they're concerned about the vaccine. They think the vaccine is going to cause side effects. It actually does have a very high rate of potential for side effects relative to many other vaccines. I believe anaphylaxis was 0.685% probability. So that's like 1 in 160 or so. You really got to make sure you don't have allergies. And this is all part of the guidelines they're putting out. I tell you this, I think for the most part, things are going to be fine. I think we're dealing with a serious issue because this was rushed out for sure. And I think you should have a choice if you want to get it or not. But I don't think it's the apocalypse. And I'll put it this way. The internet and our access to information has really triggered people in a certain way that we don't normally get every single story about, side effects from vaccinations. Can you tell me what kind of vaccine the yellow fever vaccine is or the polio vaccine or any of these things? I think vaccines are wonderful technology that have done amazing things for us. I'm hearing these stories and a lot of people are pointing out that the mRNA vaccine is dangerous for this, that, and this reason. And I'm just like, look, man, then you should choose whether or not you want to get the vaccine. And there should be certain restrictions on how we set up the rules in the future for restricting access or whatever. If schools want vaccination as part of the process, people should be allowed to homeschool and should be allowed to go to private schools. It's all about choice. The problem is when they say, okay, we're going to make the vaccine, and in order to function in society, you have to have it. We got to maintain freedom of choice. But in my opinion, the problems I have here, I'll give you another one, is the liability protection. You can't rush something out, but I guess at the same time, you can't expect someone to want to rush things out unless they were protected. So then make your choice and don't get this fine. But I've gotten a ton of vaccines in the past. I've gone to many different countries, and I didn't know anything about these vaccines. They've just existed. Many of them have been around much longer than I've been alive, and so I blindly trust them. Maybe I shouldn't. But I seem to be fine, and I can only trust my doctor. Therein lies the big challenge. When the doctor prescribes you medication, how do you know what it is? So when I go to the doctor and they say, we're going to give you this medication, I didn't know what it was. I did some research. Turns out, actually, this was a while ago, I had some medication that is an antibiotic that could apparently cause joint issues. It was due to, I'll just put it this way, my friends, be a little candid with you. When you travel the world for years, sometimes the doctors want to give you antiparasitics just in case. So, drinking the water in certain countries, going to the rainforest and such, or to, Venezuela, you come back and the doctor says, let's be careful here. And there are some medications that are bad. And like if you're doing sports, don't take these and things like that. So you really got to do your research. That's on you. But don't we just trust our doctors? I do, because I'm not a doctor. There's nothing else I can do. I'll just put it this way. It's funny that we get this video. I know a lot of people are going to disagree. This video where they're just not giving the injection to somebody. Talk to your doctor about it. And the last thing I want to say is, I just pulled this article up. Pfizer's CEO hasn't gotten his COVID vaccine yet, saying he doesn't want to cut in line. I tell you, man, I think these news outlets really want to undermine our faith in the vaccine. And a lot of people think the vaccine isn't safe. But I'll tell you what, you want to know why I think they like doing this? They hate Donald Trump. Warp speed was Trump's initiative. It worked. The vaccine came out. Everyone's happy about it. And they were claiming the entire time it wasn't possible. So when I see a bunch of stories that are constantly pushing the vaccine, boogeyman, I'm like, yeah, no surprise. Because Trump's the one who accomplished it. And now they're forced to acknowledge, yeah, Trump was actually right about it. Listen, there's a middle ground here. If you don't like it, if you're worried about side effects, you should not have to get it. But Donald Trump is responsible for this success with Operation Warp Speed. So now I see these media companies coming out, putting out these stories. What the Pfizer CEO's not getting the vaccine? Okay. Now I don't trust this guy. I don't believe what he's saying. That I don't like. Liability protection, the CEO's not going to get it. You see what they're doing with these stories? I've never questioned the stuff from my doctors before, but they keep putting these stories out. I'm not going to tell you why they're doing it. I want you to make up your mind. You can disagree with me. Please do. You're allowed to. I'm not always right. I'm just trying to think rationally. I go to the doctor all the time. Okay. Well, relatively, like throughout my life, I've been to the doctor. And when I went to the doctor and said, I'm going to go to Egypt and Venezuela, he was like, then you need this shot. And I said, great. Thanks, doc. And then the yellow fever one, I think it was, like goes in your skin. Oh, that hurt. I didn't question it. I didn't Google it. I just trusted my doctor. And here I am. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. I can't live in fear that there's people always out to get me or, but I will tell you this. We've seen Democrats themselves say they're going to wait. My friends, if you are under a certain age, you're not going to get the vaccine anyway. They're doing a triage system for, people who get the vaccine. So for the time being, stay vigilant, do your research, but please avoid harsh paranoia. Be reasonable about it. And if you have concerns about Bell's palsy and anaphylaxis, you have every right to be because those are legit side effects. And if the Pfizer CEO doesn't want to get it, I'll tell you this. You know what? Far be it from me to jump in line. He's much older than I am, and he needs it more than I do. So fine. I'll get it after he gets it. I got to be honest. I'm probably not going to get it because I have food allergies. And if that's you, well then, there you go. Simple as that. I don't know what I'll say on this stuff. It's just so silly. And these PR stunts have only made things worse. The video of the not really giving the guy the vaccine, it's just nuts. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at the Tim Pool YouTube channel. You can find it by searching YouTube for Tim Pool or by going to youtube.com/Timcast, which is a URL that will bring you to that channel. Yep, just believe me. Give it a try. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all there.